Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ursula de Cruz. Welcome to the podcast Career Conversations. The aim of the show is to help students choose from different career options. Today's show is about careers in the application of technology, and I'm joined today by Mr. Rami Sweis. Mr. Sweis is the founder and CEO of Gulf Customer Experience, a leading call center in the GCC. Thank you for joining me today, Mr. Sweis.
Thank you for having me, Ursil.
Without further ado, let's take a deep dive in today's topic. So, Mr. Sways, what would someone in your profession generally do?
So my profession involves around as a chief executive in terms of managing the overall business today. That involves overseeing all different departments within the organization, as well as be engaged with external entities that relate to our organization that include government, clients, vendors, strategic partners. And within my role, I also oversee these departments to make sure that they are managing their KPIs that we have set for them. And part of those KPIs include specific KPIs at a departmental level and other KPIs that relate to the overall performance of the company. What's important in my role is having an overall understanding of what each department does and the ability to hold them accountable on what they do with regards to not only the KPIs, but in terms of looking at specific reports and analytics on productivity, on terms of the innovation that is being driven by the departments and how they work together as well. So a CEO puts together the departments and creates what's called a seamless integration in these departments that allow us to deliver very comprehensive services to our clients. So within the departments that I manage, they include the commercial department, which has the sales and marketing, operations, which manage all the customer service advisors that are servicing clients in the numbers of thousands of agents across the GCC, in addition to our finance that manages the reporting and day-to-day management of our cash flow and reporting according to the requirements of authorities and audit purposes. And then we have, of course, our technology department that is responsible for driving innovation in terms of technology. And that includes our ability to engage with our clients' customers over what we call omni-channel, which is social media, chat, email, WhatsApp, and all these channels that customers are used to engaging with different brands. And we support around 40 to 50 brands across the region, some of which are in the sectors of e-commerce, logistics, government, education, as well as retail as well. So as a CEO, you have that overall accountability, and you also have a responsibility to present to your shareholders and your board members how the company is doing overall, and also to seek any support that is required from your shareholders and board members. And that's the typical, monthly activities that you're involved in from a reporting perspective, management perspective, and driving and meeting, of course, whoever is paying you at the end of the day, which are your customers. You need to be fully engaged with your clients as well and see what other opportunities you can build with these client engagements that you have as part of what we call the account management or customer success role that some of those departments are responsible for as well.
Well, I'm certain it must be a roller coaster experience every day. And
Absolutely. And again, I think Gulf CX was, as a founder, not only as a chief executive, as a founder, you have that additional responsibility where you are taking the organization from scratch to where it is today. And you have that challenge of scalability, where at each and every milestone within the growth of the organization, there are many factors that you have to adapt to to make sure that your organization remains on a successful path towards scalability. So you start as a startup, the next phase is scalability, and then the final phase is growth and what we call M&A, which are mergers and acquisitions.
And what made you decide to pursue this particular profession?
So I've been working in the corporate environment for over 15, 20 years. Um, at some point, when you have a diverse experience working in financial institutions, working in technology companies, working in process engineering and management organizations, when you build that overall understanding from the diverse experiences that you have, you start itching for that entrepreneurial opportunity that you can pursue based on the experiences that you've had. And I always say entrepreneurship is not something for someone who graduates from university. That would be really on an exceptional basis. But it is the in compensation of all these experiences that you've had that you get that capability to start thinking. And entrepreneurship is not for everyone. So if you feel that you have that ability, you have to try it, and that's the only way to pursue it. So I've tried it couple of times before. This is not the first organization that I've built, and I feel that this is the only way forward for me as I progressed within my career development in terms of looking at opportunities, in terms of finding a niche. And again, when you talk about entrepreneurship, it's about setting up something that solves a problem, or you are doing something better than how others are doing it. So in my case, when I set up Gulf CX, it's not something new in the market. The call center has been there since the 1970s, but it's about implementing technologies to deliver better services and more cost effectively. And that's what Gulf CX was all about. And our success was based on finding that niche in the region that allowed us to differentiate ourselves from other call centers.
Well, I'm certain this collected experience has been very helpful for you.
Absolutely, but it's also a collective. It's a collective win, we say, because it's very difficult to run a company by yourself, and therefore it's about the team that you build around you that helps in delivering your vision. So one of the biggest challenges I had was making sure I have the right people who can see and feel what I feel towards where we want the company to be, and for all of us to have that success factor in terms of the opportunity of building something great. And it is always a teamwork effort. You can be an individual founder or an entrepreneur, but that doesn't mean that you're going to run the company as an entrepreneur. It's about then building the right team, because you will never be able to scale a business without having the right people around you. And unfortunately, if you don't have the right people around you, that brings down many, many organizations and many startups. And that's why 9 out of 10 startups fail today, because one of those problems is, having the right people around you and having the right team.
Yes. And what choice of subjects did you do in college to enable you to get into this profession?
Good question. So there is a fact that, your educational background will only contribute 25% towards what you do post, I would say, education. And my background was industrial and management engineering. I studied that for 4 years in the US. And what was nice and helpful about that specific major, for example, was it involved having a management background on top of the engineering background. So We have the hardcore principles of math and statistics and operational research, which are the fundamentals of engineering. And then you couple that with some management studies that help you think in a different way than what how an engineer thinks. So that helped me a lot in my pursuit of career development. But I think the educational background is one thing. Post-educational, it's about continuing your own research and maybe own studies and courses that help you become skilled in specific things. And for example, after I finished my education, the first thing I did was I worked at GE, General Electric Power Systems in the US, and I specifically acquired a skill that is called the Six Sigma certification, which is around process engineering and how to think around processes and become very accurate in what you do around process engineering. So, and quality as well. So, at General Electric, I worked on building aircraft engines, and that involves a massive process. So it was a great experience for me post education to acquire that certification, which is called the Six Sigma Black Belt, which helped me down the road in always being very having this attention to details in everything that I do, not necessarily only in engineering, but overall in any scope of work that I do.
Well, I'm certain that this experience and knowledge still helps you today.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how did your working career progress?
So I started my career path in the US working for, General Electric, again, a very large organization, which has obviously years and years of experience behind them in terms of, the career development path, how you start, how you progress, how to develop your career. But I soon left that in order to acquire additional skills. After I acquired my Six Sigma, I worked in investment banking, but mainly in what's called an application continuity team that actually works on supporting, developing, and maintaining trading applications that are used by organizations. Where the organization that I was with was called Morgan Stanley, one of the largest investment banks in New York. And we worked on developing and supporting trading applications. And then I moved into another department called equity research, where we started doing research on technology companies. So that was the point where I switched over from a very technical background towards understanding more about how technology companies are built. So at that time we were researching companies back in the 90s around Amazon, Priceline, and there was that 2000 dot-com bubble burst. So we had a very good exposure to the tech disruption and the great technology companies that we see today that had just started during that time. And from there, by learning and understanding, finance, technology, and the research that we've done, I thought it would be a good time to start a company. And that's where I moved back to the region. I started a networking, a wireless networking company, then got into starting a telecom company and progressed from telecom into the call center space. And that's where I've been over the last 10 years. And therefore, it was quite a diverse experience. And of course, it's not only about the company, but it's also about the experience you get in different countries because of the people that you interact with. And having diverse cultures is a very healthy thing to have within an organization that allows you to tap into these experiences that others have and learn from them as well. And that helped me introduce a lot of, I would say, concepts and learnings in the GCC when I moved here in terms of innovation and diversity as well.
I'm certain the transitions must have been smooth for you then.
Most of them have been smooth. I think working for different sectors, I'll tell you about certain challenges. So when you work within private sector and certain, I would say, semi-government sectors, you find that certain challenges. And for example, when I moved to from New York, which is a very fast-paced type of corporate settings, and we moved into the region, obviously it wasn't as smooth in terms of adapting to maybe a slower environment, adapting to how people do business between the West and the GCC or the Middle East region. Over there, it's more about documents and signings and paperwork and due diligence process. Over here, business is conducted on a relationship level, on a people level. It's about building trust with people more than just the paperwork that's being done on the back end. So that really helps if you're able to adapt to these changes. And adapting is one of the most critical skill sets that an entrepreneur has to have. You have to adapt to the environment, you have to adapt to people, you have to adapt to your employees. So if you're not an adaptable type of person, you will face a lot of challenges within your career path as well.
Well, you've briefly answered my next question, but still, what would you say is the necessary expertise or the most critical skill for someone to have within this particular field?
So we always say you need to have the base as you start or build organizations or work within a certain field. You need to have a strong base, and that when we talk about a strong base, we talk about analytics and analytical skills in my domain. So anybody in engineering would typically have good math, good analysis skills, and that should set you up very well. And I tell my children today the most important subject in my opinion, within high school is math, and very close to second are the sciences. Especially if you want to get into, the technical aspect of businesses or elsewhere, because math will help you in the finance. Math will help you in, crunching numbers as you develop as well, in terms of coding, in terms of other aspects, and obviously the sciences are required for any type of engineering. But the other skills I would say is understanding communication. Communication is probably the second most important skill you need to have. You can be, we see many technical people getting into very high executive jobs, and if their communication skills are not strong enough, then they will face a lot of challenges. So one of the critical parts is having that communication skills, and this is something you need to develop very early on, which is also coupled with confidence. Communication requires confidence, and when you present, when you talk to people, talk to management, talk to your manager, you need to have these communication skills really polished. The confidence will come out. People will trust you when you're confident. They will trust you when you're communicating well as well.
Yes, I'm certain the viewers have found this very helpful. Thank you for your time, Mr. Sways,
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Good luck.
and thank you for the viewers for watching. Have a good day.